And we are live. Hot Takes episode 3. And today we have our first guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, John?
Hi guys, it's John Barchard from BGN
Twitter,
and
Twitter.com.
Twitter.com and The Fanatic and all that other good stuff. Glad to be aboard the Hot Takes train. Don't know what happened to the Garbage Gang, but proud to be
we killed off Joe last season. So
I am Joe last
we recasted him into Austin.
That was mostly a suicide. Joe made his decision, okay? We begged him to come on. He was always
Yeah, we would always beg him, and it was always like, I don't know, he was too busy having sex with his girlfriend or something.
I would choose that over, probably. So.
How dare you? We get like 30 views an episode. Like, what the fuck? All right, so we wanted to start right off the jump, and because John is the most optimistic, I'm pretty optimistic. I don't think that I'm comparatively optimistic. Jason is definitely the most cynical. Austin in between us. But the first thing we wanted to talk about basically is why should everyone not panic? And since John has so far been the most optimistic, we ask you, John, why should we not panic about the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I'm not saying not to panic. Like, it's not a great thing that's been kind of going on here. I think there's a I guess the idea that I've always had in my head, and I said it kind of all offseason, was I kind of expected this team to be 2-3, 3-2 after 5 weeks. So that's why I guess I'm not as shocked as by the death that has been rolling out there as far as the offense and everything has been going. I actually expected the defense to do what the offense is doing, and it's not kind of doing that. So I look at this, okay, it's like for me, and I know like everybody here is probably going to disagree with this. The offense has actually gotten better each week, and it's slowly progressing. So is Bradford. So is everything else. Maybe like I don't know what to make of the wide receiving core yet, because it's very like it's very up and down, and then there's like half of it's trash and then half of it has kind of potential here. The offensive line is still the biggest issue. I don't know how you fix that. You can bring in any type of garbage trash can offensive lineman. To me, I just think that all those missteps that we always kind of go and talk about happened in 2014. That's it. That to me is still the biggest misstep of this whole Chip Kelly thing. Whether that was, and that's the thing that kind of kills me. Was it Chip? Was it Howie? Like we tend to like just flow. That's Howie. Oh no, wait, I meant that's Chip. I know. Blah 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 blah. Whatever it is, Marcus Smith and Jalen Watkins are not on this football team. That's a huge miss. That is a completely big, huge miss. The 2014 draft class is what leads up to this. I don't know. I'm kind of going all over the place here, but.
No, they're all valid, very, very valid points, especially because Marcus Smith is actually on the team, and you just said he wasn't on the team. So it's basically that's basically what it is. Yeah, you're entirely correct. The effect that he has had is so minimal.
Yeah, let me ask you this really quick. If you look at the Atlanta Falcons, and I saw there are a lot of people talking on Twitter the other day about it, they put an offensive line together in less time than Porter goes to the bathroom.
Like 9 days.
They had no time, none. And it looks good. And that's the thing.
To be fair, I usually go in the bathroom for a while.
Like 10 or 11 days.
Yeah, I was going to say, no.
That's what I'm saying. So at what point it can be, I guess, a multitude of things. Did Chip hang on to players that were really just not very good? Is the coaching on the offensive line not been up to where it needs to be? Or did the Falcons just get lucky? What is the issue? Because I'm looking at them and I'm going, why not us?
Yeah, well, I look at that and it's the same. It's the same deal. Like, it's baffling. Like, I can't explain how even again going back to 2014, they were high on Gardner, they were high on Tobin, they were high on Barber. That's why they give those tiny little mini extensions. They did the same thing again this year. But again, that's the kind of the narrative that's been going around. It's not the guards. It is not the guards. It's Jason Kelsey. It's Peters. Lane Johnson now has an MCL, and that's like half of a man because he's going to try and play through it, and they literally have nothing there. It is just, I don't know. It's like bowling pins. I don't understand. And this is the other thing with like different NFL narratives. When you ask somebody like what puts a team, how do you create a great team? It's like, well, you need an offensive line, quarterback, good defense, and pass catchers and everything. And then you just think about other teams that are like that. And the main example that I keep coming up with is the Detroit Lions. They should be a Super Bowl contender. and we try and like pin all these different things of what can make and what can go. I don't know. There's like magic fairy dust that relies on whatever type of team, whatever thing it is, like good. It's basically come down to, can your bad players become okay? And can your good players overplay themselves? Like, I think Connor Barwin is a good player. I think he overachieved last year. Brandon Graham is a good player who overachieved last year. I think that those things kind of come into it too. So I don't really know. I think it is just more, and granted, like, even going into this past week where the first couple of plays, like, oh, yeah, Jason Peters can't move, like he's getting beat. So they automatically shuffle it around. And when the Eagles only have, what did they run, 10 plays in a quarter and a half because the defense couldn't get off the field? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how you fix that. And I really do think that it is execution. It is execution. And that there's parts where I think that wherever it is, like Chip Kelly, the GM, and Chip Kelly, the head coach, did collide, but the narrative is incorrect. I think when he took this offseason, our number one concern for the Eagles was secondary and quarterback. That was it. That was a whole argument in February. So they went and did that. The only problem was, like, and I think that's why there was the panic with, or whatever, people called it a panic sign for DeMarco and everything being there. I thought that was just another hole that you didn't want to deal with in the draft, and you had to pick and choose your battles, and they went with that because they didn't expect this drop-off. And I think that's where we were all on the whatever it takes bandwagon, and a lot of us were like, blow the whole thing up. And I think it was like, if any normal GM comes in there, he's going to wipe out everything and do his own thing. That happens all over the place. That's why we're not questioning Chicago right now. Like, why the hell did you trade Brandon Marshall?
Right.
With a mediocre quarterback. But Chip Kelly, the coach, then went and said, whoa, I got to win football games, otherwise they're going to kill me. So I think they did this kind of half blow-up thing. I still think it was what you had to do. The team was stagnant. Not everything is working out right now, but I just still see the potential with this, especially within this division. I don't give a shit how you get into the playoffs because you just get into the dance and things can happen. I think these are all very correctable, executable things. I thought that 2 weeks ago. I still think that now. Bradford had his best game. Hopefully that continues. And notice how we're not talking about his ACLs anymore. We're just talking about his bad play, which is fine.
Yeah.
Do you think that Chip defensive line sacrifices maybe less versatile top flight, maybe not top flight talent, but definitely better talent for a more culture fit and versatile player? So like Dennis Kelly, he can play guard and he can play tackle, but we know he's not good at either. That's just a fact. He is a below replacement level player. And I feel like Chip Kelly looks at a draft board, and again, I don't know anything. I don't really claim to know anything, but it's pretty obvious that he wants to keep certain guys around, Dennis Kelly being one for some reason, where he goes, this guy that in the draft may have more talent, but he's not as versatile as Dennis Kelly. And I feel like that's what's coming back to bite him, is that we're seeing all these guys play different positions, and they're able to jump around and slide, but they're still not very good because they don't have that ability.
I think there's a part of that. I really can I don't know what they really wanted in an offensive lineman in this draft. We all knew that going up with the Patriots fucking took who I wanted in the third or fourth round. That's why they ended up going with him. God, that they did that because we've always bitched about the GM taking the best player on the board. We probably didn't know that at the time. Like everybody was who the fuck is this guy and all that other stuff, but. I don't know what they want with an offensive lineman because we all thought that whatever Clemmings was sliding down the board. There's a ton of other guys that were doing it there. I don't think you're sacrificing versatility. I still think that's a good philosophy to have because that's how you can become to trade Brandon Boykin and have Thurman and Jenkins take over those roles. But I don't know what they're exactly looking for there. I don't know what they were looking for the year previously either. That's the biggest. I'm with everybody. That's the hugest thing that they haven't done in the past 2 years. Like, dude. So I don't know. I mean, like you're hanging on to this depth. I don't understand that there is no other. That's what I mean. We go back to Atlanta again. Like, what does their depth look like? If they put that piece of shit together line, what the hell's behind that? So
I think nothing. And so.
And I'll make one more point. And this is again a Belichick thing that they are doing currently right now. I've never seen a team, because we talk about continuity and having the same line together and all this other time. it's complete bullshit. Joe Banner was right in the offseason. I remember about like people are too worried about that. The Patriots trade off offensive linemen per drive. I've never seen or heard of that before in the NFL ever. And that's what they're doing this year. They're like, okay, this guard and this guard and this guard, this tackle, you go on this drive. And they just keep rotating that like you would a defensive line. And it's kind of ingenious when you think about it. It's like, Jesus, then you can keep pounding and pounding and pounding and going. But I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know why it's successful there with not as great talent. I mean, this is the same thing that the Patriots do every fucking year, and they still fucking win, and it's so annoying.
It is.
They have
like,
other teams'
let's just
playbooks.
wipe out our secondary and stuff, and let's hold on to Tom Brady, and fuck it, we'll go into the Super Bowl again.
Better. Brady's getting better every single day of his life. He has never looked better as a quarterback.
When will he die already?
Wait, I want to get Austin involved really quick. Austin, how long do you give Chip Kelly to turn the ship around just for you? Because you came out the other day and said that he seems more like a con artist than anything, which is a great hot take because it's not something you generally do. And
Well, sometimes I don't know if I'm joking or being serious. I'm just kind of saying things and seeing
Life
how
has
people
become irony.
But I'd give him his contract. 5-year contract. By then we should know he's going in the right direction or not.
That's fair. Yeah, I think so. I like Chip, the coach, a lot, and I wouldn't get rid of him at all. And I don't think that I would get rid of him even if they didn't win another game this season. I probably wouldn't get rid of him. But I have a lot of questions. I have a ton of questions.
And as a GM, he's having the offensive line's bad, but besides that, he's having a lot of injury issues that he has to deal with too. Like we're missing Kendricks, missing Kiko, missing Maxwell missed most of the game. Peters is hurt. That's hard for any team to deal with. So
It's true. It is. I definitely think that they have been hit. But the defenses look good even without those guys. And I'm not really worried about the defense. I think that every once in a while, I think Billy Davis will struggle to adjust on certain things or he'll ride his successes into a certain drive. That last drive of the game, I think Billy Davis just kind of took his foot off the gas. And I don't think that they were tired or anything. I think that they just kind of missed it. But I think they have enough talent on defense with the injuries, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, even the touchdown at the end, they had to make a great play to score there at the end in that Washington game. I mean, it seemed like one of those games that they should have had, but losing to Kirk Cousins, that can never be a positive in my mind because I think he's the worst starting quarterback in the NFL.
Nick Foles.
Okay, well, I said earlier, which quarterbacks would you? I said earlier, which quarterbacks would you take other than over Sam Bradford? And I said Jason would say he would take everyone in the league over Sam Bradford, and Austin would say he would take everyone but Nick Foles. This boy.
I would take
both the worst quarterbacks of all time. No, but I think it has, with the whole Chip giving him an amount of time, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, it seems like, all these franchises that go through coaches like crazy, okay, bring this guy in for 2 years, bring this guy in for 3 years, they're never successful. There's not very many good coaches in the NFL. I can't even name 5. I don't think I can.
Good team.
Can you really?
Mike McCarthy is an idiot. He's a literal idiot. In fact, he demoted himself because he couldn't trust his own judgment. He just said, you know what, Aaron, run the show because I'm an idiot. And I'm just going to stand here on the sidelines and I'm going to freeze to death.
Is he an idiot for that, or is he a genius for saying Aaron Rodgers run the show? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is arguably, he's easily the best quarterback in the NFL right now. But, I look around the league and I go, okay, you get rid of Chip Kelly. Who do you bring in? Do you bring in a defensive coordinator from a team that's has a really good defense? Who do you bring in there that's definitely go get that guy?
There's only two guys in my mind that you could actually, if you really wanted to make a switch, Hugh Jackson and Kyle Shanahan are probably the only two guys. If you wanted new blood, you would bring in either of those guys. I mean, you can't. That's what I'm saying. I got baffled by Washington when he was there with old Papa hanging out with Daddy. It's like you saw that and you're just like, this is a mess. And then you give him, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and a couple of decent running backs That's what I'm saying. Like it's just like, and then it goes, and Dan Quinn's the perfect match on the other side. Who knows? But
We're certainly quick to anoint and quick to tear down, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. I was like, Dan Quinn, coach of the year. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he's played some pretty weak teams. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
He has played weak teams, and also
He's still winning games.
True. But I mean, like, you look around the league and think about even the guys that were hired the year Chip Kelly was hired. I mean, Gus Bradley. And I know the Jaguars are always a train wreck, but, like, it's not like the guy doesn't have talent right now. Like, they definitely have talent on both sides of the ball. They can... Yeah, okay.
Quarterback.
Do they have? I'm not saying that they have, like, legitimate, like, great talent, but do you think that they have... For what his record has been, I don't think that's reflective of the talent they have. I mean, they're 1-3 this year. I think they won, 2 or 3 games last year. He's won like 5 games in 3 years. You know, you could look around the league and you could say all these guys, outside of Bruce Arians, I don't think there's been any other good coach that was hired the same year as Chip Kelly. And then even going into last year, I mean, I don't really know who has been hired recently that's like, what a great hire. I mean, we could say Dan Quinn for this year, but there's been a very small sample size, and I don't know. It's just until there is a guy that's like, oh, that's a good fit, you know, we can come in, change the culture, change whatever right away, you know, I don't think that you move on from Chip. I think you let him play out his contract
our old friend Todd Bowles is having a pretty good year.
Yeah.
True. I mean, he's played well, but then again, he lost to the worst team in the world last week. So, according to us.
Or do you think the season's over? Like, do you think at this point, it's not saying they're not going to win another game, or they may even go on a run? Or do you think that from the playoff standpoint, the season is effectively over?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
No, I don't. The only reason I say that is because of what John brought up with the division. It sucks that they're 0-2 in the division right now. It sucks that they're 0-3 in the conference, which has not been something that faced them before, even when they were 1-3 a few years ago. But I look at it more like, okay, there's no team in the division that is good or healthy really right now. I mean, they're banged up. All the other teams are banged up. The Giants happen to luck into these next 4 games, but if they can't take advantage of that, if the Giants take advantage of the next 4 games, I think they can run away with the division. But this is really where it's going to show because, you know, Whedon is still in for the Cowboys. You got the Eagles. Like John said, I think they're getting better every week. I think Bradford looked decent. I mean, you know, we had
some really good plays last week.
Yeah, when it feels like they let him. I mean, I don't know. I think that I'm not saying I don't think it's completely turning around, but I think that they still have a shot at the playoffs now. They could potentially make the playoffs at 8-8. You know, like John said, anything to get into the playoffs, just take what you can get and go from there.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I don't think it's the only problem is that the schedule is going to get. It looks like it's going to get tougher after the bye week. You got Buffalo, you got the Patriots, you got everybody else. So I think it's going to be tough, but I can't say that they're out of it yet just because of everything else. And Bradford did have. I mean, Jesus Christ, that Ertz touchdown that got called back was
right.
Ridiculous throw. That was between 2 guys, like perfect placement, everything else. And
the Jordan Matthews throw was great too, right over the defender's shoulder.
I joked when he made that Ertz throw. I said Sam Rodgers because it looked like an Aaron Rodgers play. The way he rolled out and the way he hit it, it was a great play. It truly was. Yeah,
and it's just those are the things that are like I get it because look, I invested a lot of time like trying to go in and through it. So like there's obviously like a brand to protect as well. Like I get that part of the side of it too, but it's
personal brand.
There's the just everything else that you finally saw, like it was finally like the feet work were about finally looking off a goddamn safety like worked, but the throw didn't. The one to Aguilar early in the first half there. I just think that this team is still whatever kind of magic powder they need to put on the offensive line, and maybe they just need to become a passing team this year and just Andy Reid it because I don't care about the wasted resources and everything else. Do whatever it takes to kind of win the game and make that, you know, fit somehow as it ebbs and flows and whatever. I just think, again, and this is what I don't understand too, especially about the division. Like all of a sudden, you saw Washington be awful in the first 2 weeks. You saw the Giants do the same thing, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, looks like they're the number one contenders in this division. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
No, I think the Giants are trash, actually.
Yeah, they are. Like, it's just like those things are all division things. And just the other quick note about all this Nick Foles love suddenly, because they, again, St. Louis, and if you track any of their seasons, any single one of their seasons, they always played Seattle tough, the 49ers tough. They were always able to go in there and beat them again because it's divisional games. What did they do in non-divisional games? Shit the bed.
Yeah.
They lost to the Redskins too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They lost to Washington. They lost to
Typical Nick Foles, too, because it's not that Nick Foles can't make a talented throw. In fact, he can, which is what keeps him, kind of keeps that Nick Foles all around, is that he cannot consistently make that throw. And more times than not, he will not make the right throw or the right read, or he will imagine pressure. But every once in a while, when he steps up, manipulates the pockets, and fires one, it's a really nice-looking throw. It's Joe Flacco on his best day type stuff. But it's not consistent enough. So, yeah, there are going to be days where he looks better than Bradford. But consistently, he's not going to be.
Jason said that the other day when we were watching Red Zone. He was like, the Rams against their division, it's like watching the Seahawks. And he's like, but outside of it, it's like watching the Redskins or any random shitty team. It's unbelievable how they play up for those games. And I mean, it's probably matchup based. They base their talent around what the rest of the division is doing. They're all they've been over the past few years have been very strong defenses. So they figured out they would bulk up their defense. But I mean, I don't know. I look at it like we've said this each week on the podcast is like, I think there are a handful of good teams. Not even a handful. There's like 4, maybe 3 good teams. We say Packers, Patriots, and then like Austin said, we were saying maybe the Cardinals are good last week, and then he was like, they haven't played anyone. Then they lose to the Rams immediately. So there's no one in the NFL that if they're on their schedule outside of the Packers and the Patriots, I go, this is a guaranteed. Like there's no way they have a chance.
I'm still impressed with how the Bengals are playing until they fall off, which they always do, but they're still playing well.
16-1.
They're going to
That's what I think is hilarious too. And we said that on the show. I think on Sunday morning was like, Jay Gruden left and the offense got better.
It got more efficient.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the Raiders made the biggest mistake ever by letting Hugh Jackson go. I love him.
One season, he went 8-8, right?
Yeah, and they like he built like it was going, it was moving somewhere, and then they're like, nah, I'm gonna move on.
To be fair, have you seen a picture of their owner?
Oh wait, yeah.
I mean, that man should never be in charge of any decisions ever.
It looks like a red hair man's knee came to life. It should put him in prison for 5 to 10 years for just looking like that, I think. It should become a law. How about that for a fucking...
All right, so...
I want to the season. Do you think it's over? Do you you believe in him? What are you thinking?
Do I think?
Austin, yeah.
They're one game out of first place. As shitty as it's been, it's hard to say it's over. It is. If they go and win the next 2 games, they're 3-3. They're right in the thick of it. They look like shit. There's no reason to be optimistic right now, except that Bradford played better last Sunday. But it's hard to say it's over until one team grabs the division.
Okay. I mean, if I look at this in a vacuum and I say, are the Eagles good enough to win a division? And I'm not including all the other teams' injuries and luck and everything. I would say the season is definitely over. Could they win by default? I guess. I think that what's really going to cap you is these injuries. It's not like all of a sudden all of our players are going to get healthy and then there aren't going to be any more injuries. What's the next injury? Is it Jason Kelsey? Is it Sam Bradford? Who's going to kind of get that next knock? We've not.
But that's true with every team in the league. Anybody can lose anybody on any given day.
That's actually not true. Only the Eagles could lose players.
No. Yeah, but the point is they're an 8-8-ish team with a fairly healthy team. I know we've had some injuries, and we've lost some at specific positions, but overall as a team we're pretty healthy. What's it going to be afterwards? They have no room for error. Also, you have to get very lucky at this point. You're going to have to get some losses for the New York Giants that just, are unforeseen. And they're the luckiest team I've ever seen. So I
this
don't
is
see it
true. But speaking of the New York Giants, when they won the Super Bowl at 9-7, if you watch that entire season, there's no way that team should have won the Super Bowl.
No,
Anything
well,
can happen in the NFL, and that's what's weird about it. If you catch fire at the right time, and this team has a lot of talent on it, it's just will it come together? Will the offensive line play adequate?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be.
I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but
No, that's what I'm saying. Is it would be pretty absurd to think Sam Bradford first year in new system. All these things have to come together. But like John said, try to get to the playoffs and then figure it out from there. I think that's the best way to do it. I think that right now they can still stay in this division. They can still win this division. I don't think they will. I think they'll fall. I think they'll have one of those like comebacks, give us a lot of hope, and then fall a little bit short. But I don't know. We'll see against New Orleans this week.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to read this quote really quick. I saw today on Twitter. It was probably the best quote I've ever seen about the Giants. But we'll do that, and then we'll move on a little bit off the Eagles. But it was the Giants are the NFC East favorites in the same way that cockroaches are expected to survive a nuclear explosion.
That's awesome.
that's good.
It doesn't give they're not super valued at all. I don't think they're a very good team. If they escape out of it, they're going to get crushed in the playoffs, and rightfully so. Their fans don't deserve any happiness. So, anyway, moving on. Seattle-Detroit fumble. I just wanted to ask you guys two things. One, do you care that it wasn't called? Like, are you upset for Detroit? And number two, is it the dumbest fucking rule you've ever seen in your life? For me, yes.
Is it? I mean, like as far as the rule goes, like, are you like you should be?
The talk rule is a million times worse, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. When I was watching last night, when he batted it out of the end zone and they said, "Oh, that should have been a penalty," I went, "Who cares? It was a great play. That's what I would have done." And nobody knew the rule, so it doesn't really seem like it was the end of the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I mean, Megatron shouldn't have fumbled on the one. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it comes down to anyway. I don't think it's but I mean, as it stands, I think that's kind of a great rule to have, because like you just can't randomly take it. It's I don't know. Actually, as I'm saying that is kind of bullshit because if you make a play and like you want to save I don't know, but you can't do that.
It's kind of a bullshit rule, but it's also kind of like if there's like a mad scram for the ball, it gives one team a severe advantage if they can just knock it out and then they get the ball back at the 20.
Actually, that's a good point, Porter, because what if the offense just did that and they still retain the ball or whatever?
Exactly. Yeah, that doesn't.
Pretty sure the rule is though that only Calvin Johnson could have recovered that ball for the Lions.
I think that's right as well. But then like
no one else.
Well, couldn't somebody else recover it and they just get it on the one? Is that how it works?
I think it's a touchback.
No one knows.
I think it's a touchback unless Calvin Johnson recovers the ball.
Well, Calvin Johnson should have hung on to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
The Lions getting screwed. They were nowhere near the ball. I mean, if he doesn't knock it out and everybody on Earth knows the rule, they're not going to win anyways.
I think if it's any team but the Patriots and the Seahawks, we're probably not talking about it as much. But the Seahawks specifically have had controversial calls in the past, especially at home, as everyone knows, the Green Bay game a few years ago. And I think it is, it is right to question just because even though it might be a bullshit rule, there are a lot of bullshit rules that still need to be called, and the referees need to know what those calls are, and they need to call them. What's that?
Flipping is.
Yeah, it's the only. It's not. That actually has never happened. It happened this past in the Eagles game, right? There was a clipping call. That call happens in Madden 47 times a game, and it never happens in real life. It's always like personal foul clipping. We're like, they haven't done that since 1954. And then I think the Eagles or the Redskins, I can't remember which team had a clipping call on them this past week, but Jason and I started screaming in the bar because we were so happy.
Well, I tell you what, fellas, I apologize. I'm going to have to leave you because we're wrapping things up in the old Ponderosa here, but I'll just throw this in there too. There was a Patriots player who tweeted out, I think today, that it said, like, my coach knew the rule, and we've done situations like this, not to like punch it out or whatever. So he's taking a jab at Seattle and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
About Colvin.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's if the refs don't know it on the field, then it's probably a bad rule. Like if you don't immediately go, oh hey, they're supposed to do that, or they don't. Like, are you supposed to touch that out of bounds? Like, it just seems like everybody would have done the same thing. And
Agreed.
Before you leave, though, we got to get your take. Eagles win this Sunday, and if and score, we won't.
I don't know. What is it? Tuesday. The line is already at -5 at home, which is so weird.
It's a very weird line. Certainly line.
But I think that they have to win. But man, if you can't beat Kirk Cousins, it's really hard to get any type of confidence moving in against Drew Brees, shoulder or no shoulder. I'm going to say they kind of end up squeaking this one out somehow by, whatever.
As we say here, no logic behind this, but they will win. So.
Listen, I really appreciate you jumping on with us, man.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Still, I love you. You're beautiful. Fuck McDonald's.
That's right.
Later, guys.
Peace, Ben.
So
I
guess we can end it kind of on we like to do these listicles every time, our BuzzFeed listicles, and the ones we came up with this week. And Porter, you can start with it. Is your top 5 most hated players? And I've really always wanted to know Porter's, and I really don't know because Porter doesn't hate players like I do. So
see, it's really funny because we were talking about it earlier. Jason sent us his list. And I was like reading them, and I was like, "Yeah, that's true. I don't like these. Like, first off, I don't hate players. In general, I'm like, whatever. I don't really care. But I will say there are players that are bad people, and I was going to go that route because Jason had a few on there that were bad people, like Adrian Peterson, Big Ben. I could say I don't want to ruin your whole list, and then Riley.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll just read them all. I was thinking Riley Cooper, other people who were just not good people. But instead, since I don't really hate anyone, I just came up with a list that I think Jason will enjoy. Number 1, Kyrie Robinson for vulturing the touchdown from Mark Ingram on my fantasy team the other night. You motherfucker. That fucking bullshit call Mark Ingram gets called back. I lose by 2 points on some fucking bullshit.
I lost by 5 points.
And you had fucking Mark Ingram, he would have fucking 6 more points. Is bullshit. Okay, so Kyrie Robinson's number 1. He was on my bench. I have him just in case Ingram goes down. Number 2, Rashard fucking Matthews, dude. 1 point in this fucking game. He had 25 points the week before. I start him and he gets 1 fucking point. He catches 1 pass the entire game. Fucking asshole. Eric Ebron fucking scores 2 points. He catches 2 passes, and then he fucks up his knee, and he already beat me in fantasy. That motherfucker. He beat me. I was tied. He scored 2 points. Then I joked before the game, like, oh, I hope he gets hurt. I didn't really want him to get hurt, but then that happened, so I'm kind of glad he's hurt. And then 4, Philip Dorsett, because before the season, Jason convinced me to cut Dante Moncrief because he said that Philip Dorsett was going to be better. So I was like, well, Jason knows more about these rookies than I do, so I cut Dante Moncrief.
Wait,
and picked up Philip Dorsett. He did nothing. Yeah. Then you signed him on your team, you fucking bastard. And then the last person was just Brian Cushing because he's a fucking douche.
That's a good list. I'm gonna clap that one up. That was great. Awesome.
Right.
I'm up.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I had a hard time leaving him out, so I did an honorable mention. I hate Cole Beasley. I hate his little rat face. And I hate white slot receivers in the first place. I hate them. They're so stupid. I hate their little, small routes and they pick up little first downs. I like the 6'3" receivers who just jump over guys and rip the ball out of the air. And then there's little Cole Beasleys and Danny Amendolas around the world.
Did you see Danny Woodhead? Did you see Danny Woodhead the other day when he caught the pass and he was so small that the guy reached to tackle him and he completely reached over him? He couldn't even get his helmet.
Yeah. You should have to be able to be this tall to play in the NFL. It's BS.
You have to be taller than me.
Number 5. I like
it. Next I have James Harrison.
Good one. Very good one.
That's a good one.
Bad person. Very bad person.
He beat up his girlfriend because she wouldn't let him get his son baptized, I think it was. So he thought that was a good reason to beat her
I
up.
want to know what a piece of Steelers are. Rooney was basically like, well, it's a pretty good reason. He was like basically defending James Harrison's movement.
Right.
Like, you should get baptized though. Like, fuck you. Fuck all the Steelers and their stupid fans.
And this won't be the last year on the list, I promise. Next is Terrell Suggs, who
Hell
poured
yes.
bleach on the baby. Was he the one that poured bleach on the baby, or did James Harrison do that? Or did they both
He
do
hung over the head.
The NFC North defensive players are just, God, bunch of gems.
Drowners. So
Yep.
Terrell Suggs, plus his cheap shot on Bradford, which he defended. And he's like, it wasn't a cheap shot. I could have hit him harder if I wanted to. When he got hurt the first week, I stood up and cheered. I was so
I cheered
happy.
so loud. Oh man, I was so happy. I wish it was more painful. In fact, I looked at Porter and I said they shouldn't even bring a card out from. They should make him use his hands and drag his stupid limp body off the field and just writhe in pain. You know what we should do? We should pour bleach on him as he freaking crawls off the field. That's what we should have done.
Just like how they throw hats in hockey, just throw bottles of bleach at Terrell Suggs as he crawls into the locker room.
Yeah, but Philly fans threw batteries.
Yeah, exactly. All right, keep going.
Next, keep the theme of people who hate women, Greg Hardy.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not
I
only
heard
him.
something today.
Yeah, he threatened, or no, he said something about Tom Brady's girlfriend, which is hilarious. But,
Tom Brady's going to destroy Greg Hardy. It's not even going to be close.
So, you have Greg Hardy, and also Jerry Jones for employing him. Like, I think Chip Kelly goes far with his culture, but I'm really glad I don't have to cheer for people like Greg Hardy to play on my football team. He's a piece of shit. He has a bed full of guns. He doesn't even have a gun safe. I think guns are stupid in the first place. So he has a bed full of guns, and whenever he gets mad at his girlfriend, he throws her onto his gun bed.
Oh, right. Holy shit.
His punishment,
God
it's his
damn.
punishment. In all fairness, I bet you if he was on the Steve, Rooney would come and be like, well, it's smart to have a bed full of guns. He'd probably come out and endorse it.
In Western PA.
How else will you shoot people when they won't baptize their children?
Exactly, combine the two.
And more people who hate women, Ben Rapisberger. He was my number 2. He raped 2 people. Steeler fans defend him because he never charged, because Steeler fans don't know anything about rape, and that it's impossible to charge people when he's definitely a rapist.
They only know about mayonnaise, different types of mayonnaise, consistencies about mayonnaise, what it feels like when you rub it on your face, how to die from choking on too much mayonnaise.
Can we put French fries on this? French fries on that? Is it okay if I marry my cousin in this state? And then, finally, this shouldn't be shocking to anybody, I put Tom Brady. I feel horrible putting him like after all these rapists and women
They're
eaters.
really bad people, and then it's like,
Nice man.
I just don't like
Nice.
Just a guy who's a douchebag. But he's a douchebag. He got his girlfriend pregnant and left her while she was pregnant.
You have to do that, though.
Like whenever he's just like a baby, his wife yells at his wife in public cries about the other players on the team when they drop balls to defend her husband.
To be fair, it was Wes Welker, though. He's small.
It was. Yeah, I hate Wes Welker. He's a stupid little white lady too. But his dad calls in the radio stations when people say bad things about him. He's a cheater. Tom Brady represents Wall Street to me, and he represents Republicans. He wouldn't go to the White House because he hates Obama, but he went every time George Bush was president, and George Bush ruined the country. And this is.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Sure, he didn't go. He made it seem like he had enough rings, which he does, but whatever.
Or this didn't
really
feel like it. I was
never
busy that day.
Anybody, so that's a good list. I
Obama
really
gives a shit about meeting Tom Brady.
Porter, clap for his list. It was really good. All right. I also have an honorable mention on mine, and I feel like you guys are going to kick yourself for not even including this, but the first guy, honorable mention, I just couldn't squeeze him in, is Jason Babin. That's meathead piece of garbage. When he was off the team, it was like a weight was lifted off the entire city of Philadelphia. Has there ever been a bigger douchebag on earth? I don't think so. It is unbelievable. Also, zero talent. He has one talent, and that is running as fast as he can straight. And if the quarterback's there, he'll sack him. If not, he runs into the other end zone, and the other team gets a 100-yard touchdown run. It was unbelievable.
The only way he can outrun the left tackle is by lining up 10 feet away from him so he can run faster. And but they just run at him because he's 10 feet off the actual offensive line.
Yep. He's like Jonathan Papelbon if Jonathan Papelbon was pitching with his knees. That's how bad Jason Babin was. He's a horrible, horrible person. Next on the list, he hasn't done anything wrong, but Eli Manning, I'm sick of him. I hated him since the beginning. He's a fraud. He throws 27 interceptions a season. People are like, elite, Hall of Fame. Absolutely not. Look at Aaron Rodgers, literal legend. He doesn't ever miss a pass. Eli Manning throws 4 interceptions in games, like actual games, 4 interceptions a game. We're not praising Colin Kaepernick right now. Why would we? The only success Eli Manning has ever had is based off 2 fluke passes and some extra help from the NFL, and that's it. And everybody defends them to the death. And also, he's such a little nothing of a person. He's never missed a game. There's something fishy about that. I hope somebody crushes him. I really do. Actually, my favorite Eli memory was his. I was there. It was the T.O. game where he scored 3 touchdowns. T.O.'s first game with the Eagles. Eli came in relief of Kurt Warner and got destroyed by Jerome McDougal. Just absolutely crushed. It was awesome.
And Jerome McDougal never made another play his entire career.
In all fairness, he got shot, man.
Yeah.
On my list, we've covered him. Terrell Suggs. He's a bad person. He's a criminal. That's literally what he is. He's a criminal playing. He's a criminal who gets to play football. And when he hurt his leg, I was literally cheering, just like Austin. Third, I guess, where we are now, is Ben Roethlisberger. It's mostly the fact that people defend him, and then they will, call. It's mostly Steelers fans. They'll call Mike Tomlin an affirmative action hire, and they won't root for the Steelers anymore because Vic's on the team. And then, at the same time, they're throwing their girlfriends over a fence so they can get their arms signed by Ben Roethlisberger. I'm like, are you serious? What's wrong with you? He's a dangerous boy because of his dangerous. He's like Bill Cosby. He's a predator. It's different. If 2 times you're a predator, he should be locked up forever.
The one thing about Roethlisberger, though, is he represents the city of Pittsburgh well. Because he's like a giant 35-year-old frat guy. He's fat and gross. And a rapist. He represents that city perfectly.
He's literally just a rapist. He rapes people. Think about that. He rapes women who are like.
He was never convicted, though.
Horrible. Yeah. Second on my list is Adrian Peterson. I think he's so stupid, and I hate it. I think that he plays dumb, even though he's doing criminalistic acts, and I hate that more than anything. I would almost rather you be a bad person and just be like, I'm a bad person. I like to do bad things. Adrian Peterson's like, I didn't know that you could beat the shit out of your kids. You don't know that? You don't know
did you read the ESPN profile on him?
What's up?
The ESPN profile on him that was basically they went to his house and hung out with him and when he was coming back, and they were basically these people are just enablers. He's all they do is just tell him he's the greatest and nothing he's ever done is wrong when he has done a lot wrong.
His son died. Everybody felt bad for him. He never met his son.
Never met him. And then
he's a deadbeat dad like Tom Brady.
Yeah. But it's even worse than that because I'm sure Tom Brady knows that son or daughter. Adrian Peterson.
And Tom Brady doesn't have a room full of weapons to hit a child with.
Here's a hot take for you. He milked that death because he had never met that son.
He did.
Never. And he used it. And he was like, I had the eye black on with the name. And ESPN was like, how can you play today? He's so strong. He's not that strong. In fact, he's weak. He beats his children and he doesn't. And the ones that he has off a whim, he cheats on his wife. He just doesn't ever go see. So he's not.
Like Miss Nelly calls him the Sperminator.
Him or who else had a ton of kids in the NFL?
For Marty?
That was it. Mm-hmm.
Philip Rivers too, but he's married and just weird and religious.
True. All right, last on my list. You guys are all gonna know it. It's Tim Tebow. I despise Tim Tebow. I don't even want him to pick up another football ever again. I don't even want him to walk near a football. I want to remove footballs from his existence. Let him do anything but football. He's the worst quarterback that has ever lived, ever. This is his throwing motion.
Nick Foles
Starts here, and it goes like this. He probably uses 2 hands. I don't even know because I fall asleep halfway during his throwing motion. How could you ever know? He's made up to be some type of like god that just wills his team to victory. But guess what? He's a horrible player. He went 2 for 6 against the Kansas City Chiefs and won. And I remember them talking about, is he a top 10 quarterback on ESPN? 2 for 6. What?
He made that list of top 100 players in the NFL that one year.
A fucking punter can go 2 for 6. Most punters go 1 for 1 when they are given the opportunity. So you might as well just start a punter who won't be as in your face and won't bring a circus of horrible people to wherever your team resides. But that's my list. I think it's pretty good.
Pretty good. So, solid week.
We were pretty long this time. Why don't we do quick predictions? I'll start really quick since I'm already talking, and I'll just say that I don't think the Eagles win. I think that the offensive line is in shambles. Jason Peters is not going to be healthy. Dennis Kelly, one of the worst players in the NFL. I don't think that we get blown out by the Saints, but I certainly think it looks a lot like the Dallas game where we're unable to capitalize on some opportunities. I will say, I do think we start fast. I think we go up like 14-0, and I think that it's one of those games where we go, wow, this could be it. We're figuring it out. And then eventually all the things we don't do well come back to rear their ugly head, and we end up going 1-4.
What about you, Austin?
I think they win, and I think we're miserable about the win. I think they win ugly. I think Bradford plays well. I think the offensive line sucks. They can't run at all. I think the defense will play pretty well because Breeze doesn't play that well on the road. He doesn't play well outdoors. So I'll say like a 20-13 win.
Gotcha. Porter?
I think that they win pretty sizably, actually. I can't believe that I'm saying this after last week. I felt like last week, even though it was a loss, it was. I think they played better than they did in the Jets game. I think they were very fortunate to win the Jets game. I think they should have lost the Jets game. They got some luck, special teams touchdowns, turnovers, etc. And then this past week, they just didn't have that. They need a little bit of luck going into this week, but Drew Brees not at 100%. I think that the Saints have an awful defense, like a really, really bad defense, like way worse than Washington. Oh, definitely, way worse than Washington. I mean, we watched that game the other night, and I think if Tony Romo's healthy, the Cowboys win that game in blowout style, and I think that the Eagles will win by a good margin. I think it's going to be and I think that the defense is going to play well too. I just don't think Drew Brees is 100%, and teams haven't been able to run the ball with much success on the Eagles. I think it's going to be probably something like. I think Eagles score somewhere in the low 30s. I think it's going to be like 31-14. I think that it's going to be like a good, solid victory. Also,
the Eagles are desperate, and when you're if they go to 1-4,
so are the Saints, though. I mean, the Saints have the same record, and they're playing in a division with 2 teams that are 4-0. So this is more of a must-win for them than it is for the Eagles somehow. So I think that both teams are desperate, but I'll always take the home team, and I actually think the Eagles are a better team. I think the Saints are really bad.
Also, before you turn it off this time, I have to give a quick shout out to Katie since you did it.
I don't know who that is. All right. No, okay, so signing off. Austin, do you have any last words?
I'll also give a shout out to Katie. Hi, Katie.
Penis.